Attention gamers. First things first, my peepee squeaky real unmodded voice is now live in the last few daily videos on my second channel where I run off meta bot lane comps and Heisman tries to carry me as I brainlessly just run around missing CS, being terrible and making cringe jokes. Secondly, I have recently blackmailed other content creators by threatening to show top secret footage of Glacier, Bunny Fufu, Cowsep, Ross the Smoke Show Boomsocks, and the man who keeps it Taco if they don't give my viewers a chance to win dope things. So in the description there's a global giveaway link and we are picking 2 people to win a computer or just 1,500 buckaroos in cold hard cash, so click that and win those sugar daddy dollar bills, yo. Now previously on this channel I experimented with how other ADCs would perform if they built like Ezreal, and the results were actually pretty good. So today I decided to dress up counting Dracula like the Deadpool cosplayer who draws X's on people to see if this full lethality nonsense works on some right clickers. But right when things were getting nice and warm for Mr. Rav Daddy to make some victory play-doh balls, I threw the game, and all because of this, a single, hooded, midget employee working his tiny little ass off to get his team the victory. Now if you are excited to see how I got fed like Zed and was knocking enemies dead, only to somehow manage to cuck it all up and single-handedly throw a game for one of the stupidest and most embarrassing reasons of all time, please slap that upward thumb button and subscribe for more. Here are the runes I ran to be fed like Zed. Electrocute works well on Edward Scissorhands, I guess, because he can summon his little pollution pal and they go synchronized spin shitting together to proc it. But on this tiptoeing psychopath that just slowly counts to 4 all game, I suspect it'll be just about as useless as the wards I keep in my bags all game. Then the rest just seems like a bunch of helio-ass draw X's on more people with my pimped out free kicks type of basic stuff. The game starts with me slapping an auto on this lonely chick so I can hit a purple peen rooter to set up an easy hook for my support before we run to play a game of Twister till bam surprise. The sped spaceman loves that game, so I say right foot on fountain to both supports and then I stand still and right click my way to victory. Then my support is casually playing 3 zip codes behind me, so I prove a point by intentionally getting hooked, to which the sped skeleton responds by grabbing me a minion. So at this point I am already calling the graveyard to make a reservation for 2, but turns out I called the wrong graveyard because their support is drunk off the dumbass juice. I then ask my support if he has ever hooked an actual player, to which he says no because it seems like too much work, so I tell him to just give it a try. Turns out he loved it, and so we whip out the purple punish combo to introduce her to our tower as I spank to make some bank. Turns out Lantern Larry wants another taste of this whole hooking a champion thing, so he gives it a go and I follow up by launching a thin beam at Caitlyn's past before getting point and click ulted as the red team simp summoner brings a floating Aladdin to the fight. So I do what early game ADCs do best, run like the wind screaming bloody murder and hope someone saves me, and thanks to that walking puddle, I escape. Then I remember that I have an ult, so I 2-pump the anchor chump before catching some air on the last 2, which prompts Blue Goo and Skelly Boy to line up single file to board the I'm a dumb shit express, but the gods of suck provide us with some luck as blue hair goes bye-bye and the kitty cohesion completes to save the sped splash ass. And if you were wondering, my mid laner eventually followed theirs down 90 seconds after the fight was already over because he said the GPS kept taking him the wrong way until eventually he was lost in the wrong part of town, robbed and murdered by a giant astronaut and a sex ant. But it's okay because my early suggestion for my support to give hooking champions a try has resulted in an unhealthy obsession with grabbing this blue-haired bush Wookie, so despite a total lack of coordination in our follow-up we still successfully murder the bitch. Then we chase to finish the bot lane ace as he thinks that yo-yoing himself to a wall and low gravity galloping away will save him from a skeleton with a newly discovered fetish for launching lassos, so we paint the pisshead purple before sending him back to base. Word on the street is that if your team kills a dragon, you get special powers that help you win the game, but my jungler isn't on that street. Instead he is in topside jungle all alone jerking off a frog, so me and my hooker are off trying to prevent the other team from taking advantage of the obvious IQ diff. I try to social distance by counting to 4 from the other side of the wall and it works as I slay the sniper, but then some asshole with an anchor starts whacking me as I hit one last 4 count on the slutty sex ant. Floating Aladdin joins the party and things start to get ugly as I just cluelessly pace back and forth debating if I should call the cops, while my mid laner decides the best time to use his QSS is right before a Malzahar ult, and I continue to contribute absolutely nothing except for running away and hoping these ugly mutant puppies don't tell their master where I am. A few minutes later and I am just following my usual routine of clenching my ass cheeks together while being one-shot hugging my own tower as Lantern Larry purple lassos the loser and we coordinate our abilities to perfection as I just dance around and that bitch deems standing still under tower the most viable way to play this fight. The old bag of bones wants to rope some ripped idiots in river so I oblige until I see one of the midget employees going full-blown exorcism and I know just how that book ends so after I sit through the 9 stuns their support has, I hit a mountain flash and boot up the death simulator. The first hits Astro Ass, the second gets donated, the third tickles the floating AIDS spreader and I take my time on the fourth just to miss it anyways but then I slap a thin beam on the soul sucker before running up and waiting for his dramatic trophy impersonation to end before yelling for at his face and chasing the pulsefire piece of shit away from the fragile baby water droplets. In an attempt to push the wave under tower to make Kate lose CS, I ironically missed 2 of 3 hoodlums myself before walking in a straight line toward the spaceman and his ship anchor, which unsurprisingly results in me fleeing the crime scene and thinking about how much better this game would be without that fucking champion in it until I am at a safe enough distance to purple peen the bombshell and zoom out to get a better view of the awful accuracy act, which results in one undeserved kill before I receive a notification that says if I keep trying to dodge nothing instead of just running to safety I will be murdered. Then there's a real bronze looking battle going on mid so I bail out the bad with a beamy baby before thinking a rapid fire cannon would come in handy right about now but no, I wanted to be fed like Zed so I just let the sex ant jab me instead before taking my anger out on her and launching a long boy up her tight a-hole for the kill before clearing out a line of hoodlums only to discover how close I accidentally came to claiming a second paycheck. I run top to see if the gas master needs some help with jousting Jackie but the second she sees someone with the title ADC her priorities change which results in me rocking the flea and praying she'll get distracted and go to the pool, but turns out the pool came to her and dad ass got wet. But that psychotic walking kiddie pool isn't done as I catch him casually pissing on 2 scrubs in the river so I place a purple beam to steal the credit for the second before rushing back to base because Deadpool texted me and said some spar slut is in our house fucking up our hooded midget employees so he draws an X on her and I act as the right-clicking chaperone until she leaves. Then as we are leaving the base I catch that scorpion going full sexy espionage so I force her flash as Zach breaks a world record for worst splash dash and I long range seatbelt that thick booty to help me catch up so I can knock the bitch dead with some purple drank. Me and the boys are just chillin' looking to do some killin' but Zach is the big brained villain so he goes peeping puddle to give the sex ant a surprise high five before she gets hooked and splash dash just in time for me to steal her lunch money. Smelly Nelly is off voluntarily getting group cucked and soul sucks so when he finally regrets his decision I bail his ass out only for him to go straight back in for seconds so I launch the long boy simulator but the fat astronaut makes a better door than a window so I count to 4 and bash that dumb door down, to which his response shows us that he has a case of the all chat typing Tourette's or some other sped low elo condition. The boys then group up to do a little river roundup starting with the giant pain in the astronaut and then our jungle shows us what his ult looks like when it doesn't hit anything and then we slay a dragon which reveals that little sexed up stealth bomber so we quickly clean up that mess as well to feed our lead. And now at this point you are probably thinking we have this in the bag with a 20 kill lead led by my Fed like Zed performance rocking 17 successful homicides but then it happened. The sparring shitter identifies me as the threat so I kite back and get her to like 5% health, my 4th shot ready to pop out like a horny high schooler's dick in the morning. But this guy, this fucking hooded Henry, eats my 4th shot instead of it killing Miss Jousting Jackass who then goes full blown slashy and dashy on my vulnerable and embarrassed tatas. So naturally my 18 kill ass can't 1v1 a 4 and 6 Fiora so I am doing my best Jesus Christ impersonation as my team tunnels onto their 3 and 12 support. So freaking Fiora gets the pot of gold aka Rav Daddy's shutdown only to then go on and trigger the failfist of a century as my teammates are seemingly too distracted trying to get their thumbs out each other's assholes. So to sum this up, the fencing Felicia would have been dead and I would have been fed and my team could have continued showing each other their nipples in the bushes or whatever useless shit they were doing all game and everything would have been fine but the unsung hero Mr. MVP asswipe little hooded minion had to take a detour just to flip the entire game for his team by giving Fiora over 2k more gold. And you want to know what she did with this gold? She bought an anus inverter and proceeded to use it on me and my teammates until she was unkillable and able to ignore turrets while joust jacking herself off all the way to victory. So now I am assuming like 47 tit lickers have already typed up their comments that there is a setting to make attack move prioritize closest to your cursor, but guess what, I was already rocking that shit, so unless there's something else I am missing, I am classifying this as just me getting 200 years hard up the anus by Papa Riot Games. You owe me my ruined MMR assets 14 LPU prick dicks, and that concludes the story of how a single piece of shit minion threw my game. Now shout out to my crazy community and to all the peeps and pops showering me with the green boys from Patreon. The support has been overwhelming and I am incredibly thankful to have you appreciate my pathetic cringy attempts at making you smile. Pet your dog, jerk your ween, buy my merch and brush your teeth tonight. Rav out.